So I'll start that. So welcome back, you guys. Good to see you after almost a couple of years, right? Not a couple of years, just a year. But are you excited? No more classes. That has to feel good.
This semester is much better than last spring.
There you go. I won't let you forget that, will you? Yeah, but that class will make one of your deals very easy. So it will be good. It will pay off in the end, let me tell you. Okay. What I'd like to do is just kind of go over kind of how we finish this up, okay? And then if you guys have any questions or, things is how we move forward. So the last step of your journey for a master's here is to finish what we call kind of this experience portfolio, okay? So the MED online portfolio is what we call it. I did send you a copy of kind of a brief summary of the things that we would like you to kind of press in that portfolio, okay? And so I believe this semester now you will take your final credits, which are 599 B credits. I'm sure Ecclesiani probably has you all enrolled in those, but I think you want to double check on that, okay? You need at least 2. If you've taken some along the way for some other reason, you need at least 2 for the semester that you graduate, okay? So this should be your graduation semester, okay? So what we do is we guide you through this portfolio process, and then I have to get the date right, on Saturday, April 8th, all of you will again come to AIM, and you will do what we call your final oral exam. For that final Saturday, pretty soon, I have not seen it. I don't know if Ecclesiani has finished it. I'm sure she's maybe still putting the pieces together a little bit. But what she'll do is she will schedule all of you for these hour exams on that Saturday. And so like Jennifer, Lori, you might come on at 10 o'clock. And then Katia, you'll be at 11 o'clock. And then we'll take a break at noon, and then Nathan, you'll be at 1 o'clock, and then like Jennifer would be at 2 o'clock. So the professors are booked kind of one right after another, but you guys, it will be finished within an hour. That's maybe a good thing. But in that, what you'll be asked to do, and I'm not going to get into too much specific with that because we can meet again on that later on. But basically, you present your portfolio, and then your committee, myself and then one other, will kind of question you and ask you a few more questions about, about your work, about your future plans, those kinds of things. It's just kind of that capstone to this master's experience to put it all together, okay? And so I think that's the date that we're working toward. And by graduate college requirement, you guys, we have to have that finished portfolio to your other committee member 2 weeks prior to that date. So basically, what you want from me is pass off to say, I can say, Nathan, your portfolio is ready for your other committee member. Send it to him. And I can give you, we can formalize the email and give you an example of that and so forth. But it usually works really well. So I think in your minds, you want to probably have like that March 20th to 24th. That needs to be kind of, okay, it should be done. It should be finished. We'll be going back through revisions, those kinds of things. Typically, with my experiences in going through this, each one of you will be going through it with me, I think one-on-one, but I think you might want to use the group, like this small group, as, you know, kind of the going back and forth a little bit too, if you need to. So if you need a bigger group besides me. What I try to encourage students to do is do like one standard at a time, especially for the written reflection. And then we just go kind of back and forth. You give it to me, I give you feedback, and then you make the revisions until I say, okay, this one's, you know, after you've made my suggestions, revisions, this one's done, you know, and then you just keep working on them until all four are basically done. Okay? So what is the portfolio like when I say all the four? You have to select artifacts or experiences that you have had within the master's program or professionally, okay? Because we would like to think that maybe some of your experiences as a result of doing the master's has put you in a position to do some other things professionally as well, okay? And so we want you to pick something that shows your expertise at technology planning and integration, to promote and model digital citizenship and responsibility. Okay, so those kind of ethics, legal, human issues. 3, research and assessment. And that's where Lori, you'll be glad that you took the research class. And then 4 is the visionary leadership. Okay, visionary leadership, that's usually the one that, you know, everybody can be real creative with that. Actually, you all can be very creative with all of them. It just depends how it all falls. But basically, you can pick, I think it works the best, to tell you the truth. I think it works the best if you just go ahead and pick one or select kind of one artifact kind of thing for each one of them. And then you just kind of reflect around that artifact then to show, you know, each of the standards that we have put forth for you. Okay, so why don't I stop talking there and let you guys comment or ask questions.
Like under the ethics one,
yes,
is it something that I'm just now on, like I'm on a district committee to make a policy for like correct social media usage?
Yes.
I haven't completed it. Is that something I can't put down?
Yep. I mean, you could definitely use that experience and then maybe draw from your coursework as to what are you bringing in that coursework to then, you know, show for that experience. For that one is usually the hardest one for students. And again, we try to do that. I know that I'm pretty sure this will take you back 3 years, you guys, okay? So, I mean, that's why it's hard a little bit. I know, like, when you took 501, you might have done, like, a podcast about something on digital citizenship or equity or something like that. So that one could be used. And just like you, Nathan, you might use that as the springboard and then in your reflection tell you, you know, this is now I'm able to contribute and I'm on this committee for my district. But you can separate them too. You just kind of think of how you'd like to do that. Another one, I think in 505 with Dr. Nadolny, I think maybe she talked a lot about like copyright and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, maybe it was that information in that course then that sparked now how you approach copyright and the ethical use of technology in your own classroom, or how you've helped others or whatever. I mean, that one you can be pretty creative with in how you do it. Okay. Others.
So I've had other colleagues kind of do something similar, but at other universities, and they've created kind of like Weebly pages or websites as kind of what's kind of their platform for all of their artifacts.
Yep.
Is that something that
Yep.
is
an option? We expect this to be all online.
Okay.
Okay, so you know, within our program, I mean, you can use whatever you want to use, but there should be, you know, as I see it, you know, we've shown examples, we've done examples, but really, I mean, you guys are used to this stuff. You know, you probably want some kind of an introduction page, you know, about yourself, what you're doing. And then, you know, tabs that take me to standard 1, standard 2, standard 3, and so forth. Tab them out. You know, so, and that, again, that whole idea of the online portfolio shows your kind of master of that technology as well. And, you know, the whole instructional design component, you know, so hopefully you'll bring that into it as well. You know, if you have links to your projects, like each standard should probably have some kind of a link to the actual artifact, whether it's a project, paper, you know, a web page you designed, or, you know, you can put pictures, you know, that you've taken in your own classroom that illustrate what you've done or whatever. And then each standard will have its own kind of reflection on the topic, okay? And then in that reflection, you should be pulling at least a few references from the textbook readings that you've had, you know, those kinds of things as well, you know, so kind of that gets it into that kind of graduate school kind of mentality, where you're not, we want these reflections to be your voice, but we also want them to be supported by what you've read and who you've read through your program. We are saying that those reflections for each standard are somewhere between 3 to 5 pages. I would say 3 to 5 pages, double spaced. So you guys, the good news is like 20 pages. That's the max that you have to, you know. Although, you know, some go over with some, less than others, you know. It just kind of depends what you're doing and how you do it.
Oh, okay, Dr. Crawford, if I'm understanding this correctly, because I'm trying to like make a visual in my head. So it's almost like a teacher work sample, like your BA. Okay, so that's kind of where we're headed with this.
Yep.
So that I kind of have a framework from, okay.
Yeah. I would definitely say that that's kind of what it's like, you know. I mean, you know, yeah. But it's kind of an online portfolio that encapsulates these 4 things that we have identified as being pretty important for, you know, the development of a master's program in our program, and then letting you take each of the 4 in the direction that makes most sense to you.
Okay. That makes, yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Yep.
Do you think we should, before we start writing our reflection, should we tell you what artifacts we're going to use first?
Yeah, that's, in the email that I sent you earlier, I kind of identified, kind of gave you a little bit of a timeline to maybe start following. And so what I'm saying is, like, in a couple of weeks, what I'd like to get from each of you is even a link to your portfolio. Okay, so link on however you're making it, so I can kind of keep going in and looking at it. So kind of a start, at least a draft of the structure.
Oh,
And then a selection of those 4 artifacts. So thinking what you will select. And do know that, just because we're kind of a study team, or because we're a final team, you guys can all pick different things. Okay, you really don't have to pick the same artifacts, but I think you can work off each other. Like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I could use that one, or something like that. And so by the 20th, I would like to see a list of the 4 things that you're going to use, or at least a description of what you think the 4 will be. And then an active link to show me that you have maybe started on that portfolio, or at least starting to put the pieces and the design together. And then after you get that done and kind of started, then what I'll ask you to do is start picking off one of those reflections every week. Okay? Because the thing is, and I think you probably know me well enough from classes and stuff, it's, boy, I hope you do a great job and give me a great draft of that first reflection or those reflections. But my guess is, especially for the first couple, we're going to be going back and forth a lot. I might send it back to you 2 or 3 or 4 times before I say, okay, now it's ready. Okay, hopefully not, but that could happen. But I also see that by the last one, you kind of get it, and you're doing kind of that reflective thought pretty well by that 3rd and 4th time. So the end ones don't take as much. So kind of what I'm kind of prepping you guys for is to maybe try to have as much of this done. If we follow that timeline, we would have at least the portfolio pretty well finished and pretty darn good drafts of all 4 reflections by March 1st. And then that leaves the whole month of March where there's spring breaks. We'll be biding that. I have a big conference the week before, like the 5th to the 10th of March, that I'm going to be pretty well out of commission, totally. I won't be able to give you much feedback at all that week. And then we go into spring break. So what I'm trying to do is try to motivate you guys to get as much done as we can by March 1st, and then we can fine tune by the 24th, and then you guys are ready to go. Do know that, it is an exercise. I think it's a worthwhile professional exercise as you reflect upon the last 3 years. We've gotten some pretty positive feedback from past students on it. And do know that there have been some that have not passed that oral, the day of the oral, because they maybe did not have the things in line. I will say none of my students have been there, because what I will tell you is, if it's not the quality that I want, or that I would expect of you, I won't let you do the oral. I'm not going to have you go into an oral that I think you're not ready for, or, the work is representative of a graduate student getting this degree. So, and I will say, usually when that has happened, it's been more where we have, like, not me personally, but one of the professors have given feedback to the student and they haven't taken it. And they don't improve upon it. This is good enough. I'm going to just take the oral and go. Well, it doesn't really work that way. Okay, so it is kind of it's a big deal. Your final oral is a big deal. It's your shot to really, show us what you know, and kind of revel and celebrate the things that you have grown in and done a really good job with. Not to scare you. Actually, and again, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Okay.
What should we wear?
Cisco.
There you go. Actually, for your final oral, what we usually say is professional attire. You probably don't want to show up in jeans, okay? But, dress pants, dress, that kind of a thing. Nathan, for you, it's not like you need a tie, but, professional attire. Probably not your Hawkeyes t-shirt. Don't want those.
No Hawkeye tie, I guess.
No Hawkeye attire. Just kidding.
Get your toy. Get your toy. Go get your toy.
Okay.
I won't bring my dog, I promise.
He can cheer you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as we get further into this, I feel like, you almost have to get over one hurdle and then keep going. Once we get to the point where, hey, we got the portfolios done. Again, what I would suggest is that we kind of form this group that, when Nathan gets his portfolio designed, he shares his link with everybody else, so that, and I'm sure you have others in the cohort that are going to be working on it too, that you've been working with. Hey, it's fair game. That's, you can share what you're doing with everybody and that kind of a thing. But I think this group, it's important, that we keep working together, that it's done. But once we get further to that oral, I'll talk more about that. And just know that in that oral, you will make a 10-minute presentation. Okay? So there will be a presentation of your portfolio. But what you have to understand is I will have looked at it pretty significantly, right? The other committee member will have read everything, looked at everything prior to the oral. That's why you give it to them 2 weeks in advance. And then what we'll do is we'll ask you to just kind of present on one of the artifacts. So you will kind of go into more detail about one of them that you want to talk about. So as you're doing it, you might think about, okay, which is the one that, I really want to kind of say a little bit more about to the committee and stuff, okay? But again, as we get closer to that, but that at least gives you present for about 10 minutes, and then the rest of the time is questions and answers. Okay.
Do a lot of people share the research one since they feel like they know a ton about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And by the way, you guys, this is where I totally owe you guys feedback on your research ones. Okay. That you guys were mine. So it was your group that got kind of, but I have those laid out on my desk, and I'll give you guys the final like revisions that I want you guys to make, and so those will be all fresh in your mind, and so that should be easy to do. Okay, and I mean, you don't have to use that as your reflection, or excuse me, as your research one. If you've done something else, you can do that too, but most will use that research paper as their, and the video, usually the video and the research paper as part of that artifact for number 3. And then if you've gone on to do some more or think about it in different ways, that will come, you know, that will be in the reflection. Talk to me about technology planning and integration. What are your ideas on that one?
Would it be like for a whole year I was an innovation specialist for the district?
Okay.
Year.
Okay.
That was working with other teachers and helping them come up with ideas and planning for technology integration.
Perfect. Yep. Yep. And so what you might want to do is think about your classes that talked about design. You know, I know you just got done with your ID class. You know, any others that you had to do, like online learning lessons or whatever, you know, how can you pull that in? And maybe more of that comes into the reflections. References to exact courses, that's good in those reflections. So yeah. Yep.
Or PD you've done, is that?
PD would be fair. That's where you guys, you might have a crossover a little bit, that visionary leadership. You know, so where do you see yourself that you've taken maybe a leadership role within your school, within your grade level, within your classroom? You know, if you've done any like conference presentations or help with something, those kinds of things come into that leadership really, really well too. And that's where too, that, you know, sometimes you might not have an artifact already made, like some have done, like for visionary leadership, some will just do a couple-minute video that kind of shows, you know, different things that they've done, or you know, they've made a video about things that they've impacted, things that have changed in their classroom, things that have changed in their school as a result of what they've learned and what they've done. Again, you can be really creative, really innovative for the artifacts that you choose to do. Okay? But I don't want you to think that, don't let me misrepresent that. You know, if you have an artifact from a class that you want to use, like the research one is like that research paper can be the artifact. You do not have to make up new ones.
Yeah, because I've taught a lot of my colleagues how to use certain things, but I didn't video it. So it's like literally going in and showing them how to do stuff.
Yep.
And then,
and so, you know, what you could do is maybe if you could get those colleagues to give you a snippet of like a testimonial.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
You know, testimonial. How you've helped them with technology, or just get your administrator to talk about it, or something like that. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. And actually, that's fun, and that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, it seemed a little more organic at the time. I'm like, oh wait, do this.
Yep. So what you could set up in your reflection is what you did. You know? Who were the people that you impacted, and why did you impact them? And then your artifact is actually their testimonial to what you did. And then after you've seen that, then you reflect on that, and, you know, how does this impact me now and moving forward? And, you know, put you in a position to do more of the same, probably.
Okay. Okay.
But again, you can do that a variety of ways.
Okay.
Yep, those are fun.
Some days it's like
Some days, yeah. or even students,
Okay.
That now they've been able to use technology in different ways, and that get them to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Very cool. All right. That helps.
Okay. So I think we've touched on a few of them. So as we move forward, what I think I'm going to say is that we maybe stay on our little journey as much together. And as well as I do that life happens. So I know that it's not going to be this perfect. On February 1st, I'm going to get the first reflection from everybody. I get that, okay? But if we kind of stay as a group, because remember, I'm doing 4 of you, so I just, if one gets behind, I'm okay. If all 4 of you do, I'm not sure, because I am warning you about March. March with me is going to be really, really kind of I'm a president-elect of SITE, and I take the presidency of the Society for Information Technology and Teacher Ed in that first week of March. So I just know I'm going to be on that. So if we can get as much of this done in January and February, we're going to be in great shape. Okay. Let's see. Oh, one thing, you guys, should I use? I want to do kind of an email group. Should I use the email, the iState one for all of you? I take it that's forwarding to some other email. So if you want me to send messages and stuff in some other email, send an email to me using that email, okay? And then we'll get it going. If you could do that in the next couple of days, that would be great. And then I'll just kind of send out a reminder. So what I'm going to say is by January 20th, there or about, maybe that gives you a couple weeks. Maybe by that time you will send me a list, or however, if you get so far as to creating that portfolio, however you want to create it, that link, that would be great. And then if you kind of get that going, the selection and the portfolio started, then the next thing will be by February 1st, then maybe a draft of the first reflection for one of them. And again, Lori might do the leadership first. Katia, you might do the technology integration. Nathan, you might do the research one. Okay? So it just kind of depends. And that's fine. Do you think most of you will do your reflections like using Google Docs?
Yeah.
Cybox or something like that? If you use Google Docs, would work great for me, because then I can just go in and live edit the document. So, and then that might be easier to share with each other too.
Just like that title page, and you can make the title page be with links. Maybe like a Google page or.
I think just remember, I think you probably want to have some kind of a presentation. You'll probably have to have maybe a summary, like a little bit of a summary that then would take us to the link of the reflection and a link to the artifacts, or how it is. I think I would do something like that, so it's not. So it can be a little bit of design based, not just click on this and I read it and then I see it, I think I'd put in a little bit of design to it.
Okay.
when we have stuff ready to go, do you just want us to email you and everyone else so everyone can kind of, we're all on the same page, or?
Whatever you're comfortable with. Me for sure. Me for sure. And then, like, I can, you know, after some, like, if you get done with one of yours, Lori, and then we just send it out and tell everybody, okay, here's Lori's. I feel like hers is done. It's a good model for you, the rest of you, or something like that. But if you want others editing or seeing what you're doing, you're more than welcome to, you know, just send it to everybody. Okay. Yep. But what I do realize in this whole grand scheme of things, you guys are going to be busy doing your own reflections and all that. It's not like you're going to have a lot of time to give a lot of feedback to everybody else. Okay. That isn't necessary as much as, you know, to kind of read what people have written and then to think, oh yeah, in my own reflection, I could do this better, you know, or as you see comments that I've given other people, then you can grow on those comments by not kind of making that same mistake. Not that it's a mistake, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a growth. Okay. And again, if you get some of this stuff done before and you're ahead of that timeline, that's fine too. Okay. That's fine too. But probably when you give me a reflection, you're probably going to have to give me 48 to 72 hours to get that back. Okay. I'm not guaranteeing like it's going to come back in 12 hours or anything like that. Okay. But I'll be very, very attentive to when they come, and because we want to keep the process going. Okay. So it's, you don't have a class, but you kind of do. But this is a fun one. It's, you guys kind of show us what you know. You know, that's what it's all about. Now kind of revel in, like, what have you learned? What do you know more than, you know, when you started this process? Okay. Okay. Any last questions?
I have one.
Okay.
If I'm running 2 technology PD sessions in January, should I like have someone record it, or should I just show like what I did to set it up? Because I'm going to run a session, but then I'm also overseeing other people going to the session. So
excellent. You know, I think I would just try to kind of document what you did. Okay. Like maybe you make, like maybe you have people, somebody taking pictures for you. I don't think I want to probably sit through your entire PD or like watch the entire session. Mm-hmm. But maybe if you had the presentation, if you put together some kind of presentation, maybe that's part of the artifact. And then maybe another part would be a narrated short video that shows some pictures and or epitaphs from participants, okay, you know, or comments from participants or something like that. But you know, I'm that's just off the top of my head. Okay. It's not like you know, you could still do whatever, however you feel like you could capture that experience the best for us to showcase your PD skills. That would be great. Okay.
Or like the Google form that I'm going to create that people have to sign up for it and sections will close as they fill. Okay. That sort of thing would be part of the one artifact.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And that's it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes one artifact might consist of a couple things or more, you know, to kind of give us the, you know, the whole gist of what you've done. That's it. For me, I think that's fair. Okay. Okay. Great. So again, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate. Email me, okay? And I'll kind of send out a reminder. I'll send all of you the link to this meeting. Not that you'll probably want to watch it again or anything, but at least Jennifer will have it then. And I'll also send it with kind of that timeline, okay, reminder. And I look forward to hearing from you in a couple weeks or maybe seeing some progress of where you are, okay? Okay. Well, good job, you guys, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Great. Thanks, Dr. Crawford.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye.